Hi, I'm Sam, your resident fantasy reader.
And I'm Morgan, your romance reader, and we welcome you to Just One More Page,
where it's never just one more page.
By the way, do I sound sick?
Yes.
Okay. Hi, everyone. I'm sick. Listen, I've been sick all week. I've been so congested and I had a fever. I also been in a reading slump. And then I decided that I was going to read a romance book about a. Can you tell it's going to be bad? Get me out of my reading slump. I decided to read a book called, I think it's called like Bull Rising or something like that.
Oh, no. Oh no, I've seen it.
I had a NyQuil fever dream where I wanted to read the book. I woke up in the middle of my dream and I was like, I need to buy this book. I haven't really read it. I read like a couple chapters. It's okay. It's like it's not really my thing. But anyways, welcome to this week's podcast. I feel like this week has been kind of crazy. We've gotten a new pope.
We did get a new pope.
That's American.
Who's American? Like Pope Leo.
What?
Pope Leo.
Also, I guess it's called Cradle Catholic. That's why I heard people call it as a term on TikTok.
Yeah, because you're born into it.
Yeah. I went to like Sunday school. I went to church every Sunday and Sunday school every Sunday, which I did not like. And so not really into church as an adult, mostly because the churches in the South are a little bit more different than the churches in the North. But I will say my Catholic heart was very excited to see an American come out and be like the new pope. I was like, oh my goodness. But then I also love how other countries are like, ew, an American.
I heard someone say something along the lines of like, now MAGA can't say they can't understand the cardinal when he tells us to like love everybody and like whatever because he speaks English. Not only does he speak English, he's from Chicago.
Yes, he is from Chicago's. He likes the White Sox. And so I'm excited to see what he does. I hope that some people from, I don't want to get too political, but I just hope that his message gets sent to the right people. That's all I want to say. But yeah, besides that, my friend got married, which was super fun, except it was very chaotic. I don't know about you, Sam. I feel like when you got married, Sam, it wasn't like chaotic at all. It was pretty besides like when the bridesmaid having a wrong dress.
The wrong color dress, and then it was too short on her.
Oh, was it? I don't remember that part. I just remember it was the wrong color dress.
Because everyone like got down to their knees. She was a larger girl, okay? So the dress that fit all of us and got to our knees didn't fit her correctly, even though it was like the correct size for her. Yours was knee length. Hers was like maybe at her thigh.
I don't remember that.
But go back and look at the pictures, you'll see it. So like they wanted all you guys to like sit on the like stairs or whatever, and we had to adjust poses because she couldn't physically sit down in her dress. We got through pictures and she changed her dress before the reception because it did not fit her.
I don't even remember that. All I remember is that she had the wrong color dress. That's the only thing I remember.
And then what else happened at my wedding? Oh, my photographer's dad died that day before my wedding because I ran into her like a month later and saw that she was doing the walk for life because apparently her dad had cancer or something. And so she had like a little like tag around her and it said June 5th, 2015. And I was like, that's the day before my wedding. Like, your dad died? And she goes, yeah. Or no, it wasn't her dad. It was her husband. Her husband died.
That makes it even worse.
It's worse. So like the day of the wedding, she calls me and she goes, I'm not going to charge you extra, but do you mind if my daughter comes as like a second shooter? And I was like, yeah, extra people to like take pictures of my wedding? Hell yeah. And it was because she was there for moral support. I didn't know. She never let me know. A bunch of people at my wedding knew my photographer, so they knew, but she was like, do not tell Sam. So I found out like a month later that her husband had passed away. And apparently he also told her, because it was coming, he was terminal. He apparently had told her like, hey, do the wedding. Don't worry about me. Like, we all know this is coming. You made a promise to the bride and make her day special. And then you can figure out the rest of it later. He's like, but you can't give up your business for me. And I was just like, Jesus Christ. I was like, there was a whole clause in my freaking contract that said that if she had to cancel for a family emergencies, like she had 24 hours to do it. I had actually a third photographer there. He was trying to build his portfolio and stuff. I'm like, I could have had him shoot my whole wedding and I would have given him like a couple $100 and been like, here you go. Like, I had backups, and worst comes to worst, I had 100,000 people taking like cell phone photos of everything. I'm like, it would have been fine. So like, I appreciate like that she did that, but at the same time I looked at her and I was like, Celia, come on.
So looking back at the photos, yes, her dress was very short on her. I now realize that there's a couple photos in your album that I'm like, oh, that's the reason why she's standing.
Yeah.
I don't know. You got married a while ago, so I don't remember all of it.
10 years ago.
Oh my goodness, a long 10 years ago. Yeah, no, my friend who got married, they all came over to my house to get ready because it was gonna be like low key. And I had breakfast and for everyone and stuff like that. Sucked is that the day prior I woke up not really feeling the greatest. Next day I woke up on the wedding, really not feeling the greatest. And I said to myself, I don't have time to not feel good. So I'm just gonna pretend I'm feeling great. I'm just gonna gaslight myself into thinking that I am 100% well. I am 100% healthy. I'm not sick. I'm great. I am fine. Well, the day of the wedding, obviously, chaos happens. The flower girl, 10 minutes before we leave, broke her basket. She comes up and she's like, I broke my basket. I'm like, I'll fix it. And I'm like the maid of honor. So I feel like I was like a flippin' superhero that whole day. So I was like on my toes. I'm like, you broke your basket? Give it to me. I have a screwdriver. Fix the basket. Then the bride, she got makeup on her bra. And so she's like, oh, I want to get makeup on my bra. So she used my Tie to Go pen because I made a whole like legit care package. Everything that she possibly needed, I had. And so she used the Tie to Go pen on her bra to get rid of stains. And then later on, before we were about to leave, she goes, oh, I have like a little thing on my dress. Let me wipe the Tie to Go pen on it. Not realizing that there was still foundation on the Tie to Go pen.
Oh, no.
And this foundation, because it was like a bronzer, was dark brown. And she got dark brown smeared on the top of her dress. Our other bridesmaid who was doing everyone's makeup, so like honestly so sweet of her to do it, was running late. And so there's chaos of her running late, and we're running late to the venue, and we finally got there. We're about to walk down, and by the time the music kept disconnecting from the speaker because it was like a small wedding. There was only like 30 people there, so we just had like a speaker in a bush. The music kept disconnecting. I was like, oh my God. And then everyone forgot what they were supposed to be doing, even though we did rehearsal. So everyone was like, Morgan, when do I go? I'm like, oh my God. I felt like a bridezilla. It wasn't even my wedding. So
Jesus.
your chaoticness was like stuff that I feel like I didn't really see, and also stuff that wasn't like directly like stressing you out.
The chaos was the chaos, but it just makes for stories.
I feel like every wedding has some sort of chaoticness that happens. I think when my sister got married, a horse got out of the pasture. And of course, my little sister, who loves horses, legit ran. Her hair was like in pins and rollers, and she had a robe on
Jesus.
and ran to the horse because she's obsessed with horses. So, like, I feel like every wedding has some sort of chaoticness. At the end of the day, her wedding, my friend's wedding, was beautiful. She got married. I'm so happy for her, and I'm so happy for them. And all I wish is love and happiness. Although I will say is that I had to do my maid of honor speech, and I was so nervous, and I didn't want to do it. And I told her, I'm like, I will give you my speech. Like, do I have to do it? And she's like, no, you have to do it. I'm like, no, it's okay. I won't do it. Like, I'm good. Her son was like, hey, everyone, Morgan has a speech. And I was like, I'm going to kill you. But I made her cry, and it was a great wedding. And then I accepted the sickness, and then I had been sick all week. So yeah, new pope, I got sick, my friend got married, and that new bookish event that happened.
We could make a whole episode about event alone because there is some shit that happened. So anyway.
So let's talk about this book. So today we are going to be reading a book from Jasmine Wigham called Cradle of Secrets, which is a gothic fantasy novel. This novel actually takes place in Victorian London and follows Jem, who has lied his way out of America into the most fashionable circle of London. He has everything he has ever wanted, the daughter of a wealthy businessman who will do anything for him financially too, but none of it gives him the high that he thought it would. But when a woman named Felicity appears at the ball, asks him to demonstrate his gunslinging skills, he can't help but resist to do so. But soon, Jem is thrown into the world where monsters are real, narrowing escaping his life. Jem realizes that Felicity isn't what she appears to be. Unable to return to his life, he seeks out Felicity at her home, Grimwood Manor, where she's surrounded by a crew of friends, none of them seemingly exactly human. Let me say my stuff first, Sam, because I have a lot of things to say, okay? I don't want to sound overly harsh, especially since the last book we read was a flop for both of us. And I was really hoping that this one would break us out of our bad reading, like reading bad books slump. And also to like remind our listeners that we can put out a positive book review, okay? But it just did not happen. I do want to give the writer Jasmine a bit of grace. This is her debut novel, and getting a book out into the world is a huge accomplishment. That being said, debut or not, I have to be honest, this book was not very good. Here's the thing, I can't blame it on the fact that it's fantasy. And normally I'd say, hey, maybe this isn't my type of book. Like I like to say all the time, I'm not a fantasy reader. And I leave room for like diehard fantasy readers to enjoy it more than I would. But I don't think that's what's going on here. The story is, yes, technically action packed, but somehow it still feels dull. There's no tension, no real momentum. I kept zoning out while reading, and sure, I was on a lot of cold medicine this week, but I'm pretty sure that NyQuil wasn't the main issue to why I was zoning out. But lastly, I do want to mention that I was listening to this book as a audiobook, and normally I don't really bring up narrators' voices on the podcast unless they
Oh my God, he was so bad.
Yes, the narrator's tone just did not fit the tone of the book, and it just threw off the whole flow of it, and it was hard for me to connect with the book, and I kept zoning out, and it just was not good. I did not like this book, Sam. I rated it 2 stars. And also on top of that, I'll be honest with you, a lot of the stuff that happened in this book flew out of my head. I don't remember half the stuff that happened, and I read this book in like 4 days. So I gave myself like a good chunk of time to read it, and I still don't remember half the stuff that happened. And it's not because I didn't read it, it's because I was zoning out, and I was also on NyQuil. But anyway, Sam, what do you think? 2 stars?
Yeah, 2 stars. Okay, so I went into the Goodreads because sometimes I'm like, maybe it's just me. Maybe it just wasn't built for me. I don't know. And number one, granted, I am so sorry to this author, Jasmine. We are so sorry. We're like third and the fourth person to rate this book. I think it's like got like 5 total ratings. So right now, sitting at like a 3-star on Goodreads. So we're not doing it any
Oh
favors.
no.
I am a fantasy reader, and I don't know what the heck was going on with this book. I don't even know. It just was very dry. It was very two-dimensional. Like, I really didn't care about the characters at all. And there were, like, moments, like, there were pieces that, like, could have made, like, a super interesting story. Because, I mean, the last half of it, it was just, like, plot twist, plot twist, plot twist, plot twist. And I was like, but you know, if I could comb through this, there's a bunch of stuff I would have taken out. Like a lot of the stuff that happened toward the end kind of shoved it into like the main part of the plot. I feel like the story got lost. The author was trying to do a lot of different things to build up to like this major plot twist, and it didn't work. This author came off very like pantsery. Like she had an idea and she was trying to write up to a certain plot twist, but I feel like the idea got lost in the story. Like, if that makes any sense. Like, had this whole world built up in our head, but wasn't able to present it in a way that, like, the reader could understand. Like, we were in, like, normal London. And then all of a sudden, we were in this whole new world. Where did this whole new world come from? No one ever mentions it, or, like, big reveal about it, or whatever. No, like, hey, we should go to here. And then Jem, he's the one who's discovering this world and we're discovering it through Jem. But I feel like they kind of just dragged him along and we kind of got dragged along too without fully understanding what the heck was going on. There was a lot of talk about like magic has a price, magic has a price, magic has a price. But like the prices they really paid for the magic really weren't like high stakes, because usually when they're like magic has a price, like at some point we have to pay this like massive price for the magic. And this is a very common storyline in a lot of fantasy books. There's a lot of give and take with the magic system, and I just felt like there was a lot of take and not a whole bunch of give.
No, I agree. And I also kind of feel like the plot twists that you were mentioning, how like, yeah, there was plot twist after plot twist. I don't really feel like they were impactful.
They weren't.
There was one plot twist there, they were like, hey, this person's this. And you're like, oh, you're this? And they're like, yeah. They're like, okay. And it's like, wait a minute, that should have been like a very impactful moment. I also feel like there was so much information, so many things happening that this could have been, I know as a series, could have been another book. Like it could have been 2 books. I would have loved if it was more development with each character, or all the plot twists weren't thrown out at once. Because what I wanted was found family, a good family connection. Yeah, honestly, I was not invested in the story at all. And I just did not think it was that great. And I hate saying that because this is a debut writer. And if I was a debut writer listening to someone critique my book and give it a negative review, I'd be heartbroken. But the thing is that every artwork deserves to be criticized. Obviously, some of my favorite books you might not think is your favorite, might not be your favorite book. That's okay. You might read this book and love it. Unfortunately, me and Sam, we both just did not like it. And that's nothing against the writer. It could have been something better, and it just wasn't. Anyways, let's go into our spoiler section because there are some things I want to talk to you about, Sam. If you haven't read this book and you don't want to be spoiled, then check out last week's episode in which we read Crash Landing by Annie McQuaid. If you don't care, or if you obviously can tell from the start of this novel that we both didn't like this book, so you don't want to read it, then stay tuned as we discuss the rest of this novel.
Let's talk about the major plot twist in all of this, which is Odessa, and the fact that she is the like bad guy's daughter, and that Felicity like bound her magic or whatever. And that Felicity is like immortal, which she's not because she's dead. Or maybe like I guess she's maybe coming back to life at the end of that. I really was kind of confused. But anyway, I get what they were trying to do because they kept bringing up over and over and over again that she has no magic. She's a witch with no magic, which honestly, in like the terms witch would make her not a witch. But she's a witch with no magic. She doesn't have a coven. She doesn't blah 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 blah. And I just felt like when they were like, "Oh yeah, she's got super powerful strong magic," I was like, "Well, no shit." I think it would have been more interesting to be like at some point telling us that she's like the bad guy's child like sooner, and this is why we need to keep her away because he's building these Atrox things, which are like low-key vampire zombie werewolf things, and really like made the stakes super high because we know later on that he's killing off his own children to make these creatures. We're trying to hide Odessa. We bound her magic for her safety, and we bound it to Felicity so that way like Felicity is immortal, so therefore like she can never die, so therefore Odessa's always going to be safe. And then her kind of living with the thought of like, hey, I've always had magic but I've never been allowed to use it, so I'm not like the other witches and therefore I don't fit in. And like it could have made such a different story.
I thought that Felicity was going to be her mom.
I know, me too. No,
Is that weird to say? I feel like that would have been more shocking if Felicity was her mom. But yeah, no, I agree. It wasn't very impactful. And also, like, it made me very kind of like, I get it why she's there and everything like that. And I get it why she's protecting her. I don't know. It didn't feel impactful getting that information. I was just like, okay, yeah, like, obviously she's gonna be strong. And then even when Alistair was a werewolf, he's like, I'm a werewolf. And they're like, okay.
Yeah, I was like, okay, cool.
And he's like, no, really, I'm a werewolf. And they're like, okay, I get it. Odessa's a witch. Felicity's a witch, true. Alistair is a werewolf. I don't remember what Rashad was. But anyways, I wanted like them to be like monsters in the beginning. So that way we know that they are different creatures and how their storylines happen. I don't know. I feel like the story could have been so much better and so much more developed. Well, talking about developed, do you think the world building was good?
No, not really. We went to their version of like a whorehouse apparently, like, and then Jem had to give up a secret. And apparently the secret was that he attempted to kill his dad, or did he actually? I think he successfully killed his father. And I was just like, cool, you killed your dad. There was no real build up to it. And then like when he gave up the secret, it was kind of like, I didn't care because I didn't really care about him.
And I also kind of feel like you kind of knew that from the beginning. Also, question, why did Felicity make him go out and shoot a monster? Like, I don't understand why Felicity wanted him in the beginning. Yes, I guess because he's not really important. He didn't really fit into the social group.
Yeah, her reasoning for taking him was like the dumbest thing in the world. She was like,
because he didn't do anything. He didn't do anything, Sam. He got scared. He literally almost peed his pants.
She's like, I took you because you wouldn't have been missed. But realistically, he would have been missed because he was courting the high society girl, and then she died, and her father knew who he was, and like his employer was also a business partner, and so he was like, we need to separate because I can't have any connections with you. So it wasn't like he wasn't connected to people. It wasn't like he was like this random American walking around England and trying to make friends, and nobody was really like paying attention to him, and he could have disappeared off the face of the earth and like nobody would have noticed. He had connections. We established that at the beginning, so her reasoning for taking him didn't make sense.
Do you think that there was like any good scenes about this book, like any good things you liked about this book, or are you just in the mindset of like you just didn't like it?
I think by the time it got to like where we could have actually had some redemption for this book, I really could have honestly cared less. And I was like, I kind of just want this done. Because I would have DNF'd this at about 50% realistically. I'm only finishing this because of the sake that we said we would review this book. I feel like once I've made my decision, I don't really give the books as fair of a chance as I could have. It didn't start out good, and it just felt like it never got better.
I mean, like, I think we both had that conversation though. Like, I almost texted you and was like, Sam, can we just pull the trigger and say no?
Listen, we tried tried to pull the trigger on many books. What was it? The Woman in the Library, we tried to pull the trigger on. Something, I don't know, it was like that queer fantasy book we read. That one we only rated 1 star. We tried to pull the trigger and DNF it. But at the same time, it's like, man, we committed to this. Really should just finish it for the plot, honestly. Like, for the sake of being like, hey, I finished this book, don't read it. People who I know in my personal life and I know their reading styles, I probably wouldn't recommend this book to.
Personally, I think that you can every book can find its reader. Like a reader can find a book good, and I don't find a book good, that same book good, and that's okay. But personally, I agree with you. I don't think that this book was written very well. I think that there's just so much information in the book and is honestly just very, very information heavy. And I just didn't like it. And yeah, there's a lot of action and yeah, there's a lot of things happening. But once again, I could not say interested. And the narrator's voice was just not good with this book. That's all I gotta say. I just didn't like it.
The narrator is a very English narrator who then tried to do like a really bad like Southern accent, and I was like, man, and like,
It's like, you like I can't do a British accent. I'm American. I'm not even going to pretend to do a British accent sick. But all I will say is that the narrator's voice was not good. That's nothing against the narrator. I just don't think that the book fit the narrator's voice very well.
yeah, I'm in the same boat with that. And that's the other thing too, is like, I don't want to rate this book based on a narrator's voice because the narrator's the narrator. It like they're just telling the story. Even if I took the narrator away, I still didn't like this story. Because we've had books where like the narrator wasn't the greatest, but the story was really good.
Exactly.
I mean, because did you listen to the Never List?
I think I listened, I halfway listened and then I read it too.
So I don't know who the male narrator was in the Never List, but he was terrible, but the book itself was so good. So it's like, I know I could separate the narrator from the story. It just wasn't for me. I don't want to sit here and like bash and drag this through the mud. This wasn't for me. It wasn't built for me. I don't feel like the world building was good. I don't feel like the character development was good. I don't feel like the character connections with each other was good. Honestly, like when Felicity died, I was like, cool, she's dead. Like, not cool that she's dead, but there was no impact to her dying. I didn't feel like a gut punch because she's been such a main character in this whole story. And then when she was the one that was supposed to be like deceiving them and the one who was supposed to be betraying them because she's the one who bound Odessa's magic. And like that was supposed to be like a huge reveal of like this character has like ruined this person's life for the sake of her safety without letting her know. And if you're supposed to feel a little bit of betrayal, and I'm like, man, whatever. Like, you know?
I felt the same way, especially when like Rashad got injured. I was like, oh well.
I know.
Okay, what's next? Well, we're so bad.
They were like, yeah, we look, because I mean, granted, we're talking about like early 1700s England, with the whole reveal about like Alistair and Rashad basically being lovers.
They were roommates.
This huge
They
reveal,
were roommates, Sam.
and they were roommates. And we kind of knew Alistair was gay because of the comments he was making to Jem anyway, where he was like, "Oh, but you're so pretty" or whatever. I'm like, okay, cool. There's no real big reveal on this one. I was like, and I mean, and maybe it's just the generation we've grown up in, but I don't give a crap like if you're gay or not. So I was like, okay, cool.
Reread it. We got it done. 2 stars.
It's done.
Sam rated 2 stars. So next week, we actually did not decide what book we're going to read, but on the fly, Sam, I'm going to say let's talk about A Million Lives next week.
Yes, let's talk about that book of convention because I've been seeing some tea and I've got some research I want to do.
Yes. So next week, me and Sam are going to talk about the Million Lives festival that happened. That is basically like DashCon. We did a whole episode on DashCon, so you should definitely check that one out and then listen to next week's episode. But I thought it'd be fun next week we talk about A Million Lives because this whole festival seems like a nightmare. But anyways, if you guys like this episode, even though we did not like this book, and you want to support us, feel free to rate us on Spotify or anywhere else you can rate us on a podcast or like Spotify or Apple, wherever. Rate us high, please, because it would help our podcast get out there for other people to find. Also, remember to check us out on YouTube and our other socials that Sam will tell you about.
So if you think we're absolutely hilarious, which fun fact, my friends, we are, we do have a TikTok. It is Just One More Page Podcast. For all the videos, stories, and anything else we decide to post, we do have an Instagram. It is Just One More Page Official. We're also Just One More Page Official on Threads and Just One More Page Podcast on Tome and Blue Skies. Anyway, if you look up Just One More Page and see our little blue emblem, we're everywhere. So come find us, come check us out, come follow us, come slide into our DMs. We love talking to you all. We hope you had a fabulous Sunday. For my nurses, because I'm a nurse, happy Nurses Week. I hope your hospital actually like gave you decent gifts. Mine did not.
Oh,
We love you all, and we will talk to you all next Sunday.
Okay, bye everyone.
Oh, and happy Mother's Day.
Oh yeah, happy. I completely forgot. Happy Mother's Day. Okay, bye.
Bye.